Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching, however you're watching, wherever you listen, how are you listening? It is the Bet Online Salute to Troy podcast. And no, Jamal did not morph into two younger, better looking Indian dudes. These are actually the two good Desai guys, not the bad Desai guy in Philadelphia calling bad defense. Is probably going to get his boss fired, but that's a different story for a different day. I have probably two of the best people that can do what we're going to do today. Put Mel Kiper to sleep, put Adam Schefter to sleep, put all these guys to sleep. They know their stuff. They're very good. I think, and guys, don't get mad at me, I think they're better this time of the season than when they're doing their fantasy stuff. But it is what it is. Don't get mad at me.
I 100% agree with that, at least for me.
Yeah.
I think it really just depends. It's to each their own flavor, right? Some people love us for our fancy stuff, but I think we're coming into our second season covering NFL draft and NFL draft prospects. So yeah, I'd like to think that maybe we're a little bit more polished up this time around. But Al, we appreciate you having us on. I know we've been trying to make this work for
a
long time now. So I'm glad that we could finally make this happen.
My bad.
So let me introduce you guys. This is Amir Desai and Tad Desai. They are our fantasy guys and they are our NFL draft guys. Like I said, they are really good at draft stuff. They're really good also at fantasy. If you want some underdog picks, go with Amir. The tag guy's kind of tricky. No, if you want some underdog fantasy picks, go to underdogfantasy.com, put in USC LAFB, and get $100 match. But go to LAFB Network Reels, and they give you all the underdog fantasy picks. Are you guys going to put one out this weekend for the playoffs?
Yes, we will.
We are. We're recording it tomorrow night.
If you want to put some money in your pocket, these guys at least will get you paid. I know they do well in their league. We won't talk about the LAFB league, but we'll leave that one alone. Nope. But so today they're on our show. We're going to talk draft prospects. We're going to address the elephant in the room right out the gate. I apologize. Ryan's going to kill me for this. How are you doing, Amir? How's everything going for you?
Everything's going good, my man. Like I said, it's been a long time that we were trying to make this happen. I know you've been in our podcast, like even just cameo appearances too, because we record it sometimes on the same day. So it's always been great to have you on. Obviously, you had that great episode with Tad running it solo, doing the national title game preview, sort of roundtable blood discussion there. So, I mean, yeah, it's great that we could finally return the favor and talk some USC draft prospects. But yeah, life is good, man. Life is good.
Open door policy. You guys are always welcome to come on. Tad Desai. Now, I want to tell you guys this.
Here we go.
I want to tell you, if you guys don't like Tad, somebody told me I have self-esteem issues in my comments.
Whoa!
So,
what?
Wow!
What?
Wow! Okay.
Hey, I'm half deaf, so it's okay for me to say this. Is that person deaf? Like, can they listen to this show?
So, if you guys think I'm firing, this is my guy right here. You guys should see us in the Slack when we get to talking football. You talk about kerosene and fire. Us two together, we get people fired up, and then we can get them down, and we get them back fired up. My man Tad Desai. Besides the car, we won't talk about the car. How are you doing?
Not talking about the car. I'm doing fantastic. It is. You know what, Al? Real quick, what is your favorite holiday of the year?
My favorite holiday actually is Thanksgiving. I like Thanksgiving more. Yeah, because it's just more chill. And people are like, it's no pressure of like, oh, I got to get gifts and things like that. People are like, oh, we're just breaking bread together, hanging out. And in fact, one of my good friends is married to a Canadian, and my brother is married to a Canadian. I now celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving. So I get two Thanksgivings in 1 year.
There you go.
All right, that's a good pick, but I have a better pick.
What's that?
The best holiday of the season, of the year, is the NFL draft, my friend. And Christmas season is upon us. So, of course, I am good. I am on one of the best podcasts in this entire company for the first time, which, by the way, way too long. My bad. I'll take fault for that. And I thank you for having us on. But more importantly, I cannot wait to talk the draft. So I'm doing fantastic anytime I talk draft. And by the way, like Al said, you know, it's not fire and ice. It's fire and fire. And people, you know, wonder, like, how did Chris Nolan film that real explosion during the Oppenheimer movie? That was just me and Al discussing Alan Robertson versus Marquise Hollywood Brown. They just filmed the reaction from that, and that was the nuclear explosion in Oppenheimer. So you are welcome, Chris Nolan.
The good thing about it is, and the good thing about good people, I will say this, is that we could get into a heated argument, and then just like that, it changes,
Drop it.
and it's like we move on. Life goes on,
It's
and
true. Very true.
and I will tell you guys this: the best thing about LAFB, especially like the core people, we're like a big family. No matter how far away we are, we're a big
100%.
family with all this. So I appreciate you guys. I love the fact that you guys are on. I can't wait to dive into this and see how you guys think, what you guys think about what's going to go on. We're going to just address the elephant in the room since we're talking draft. Let's talk number 13, Caleb Williams, right? I came on you guys' show, and also we have a lot of Sooner fans too, so say hello to the Sooner fans. We got a bunch of Sooner fans.
Sooner. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Caleb Williams, right? I came on you guys' show, and you guys, what do you guys think? I said he should go lower than 15. And you guys are like, wow. The reason why he should go lower than 15 is because we saw it on Monday with the national championship. I don't think he's used to pressure, and pressure comes a lot faster in the NFL. And you have to make legit reads, and things are on timing, and things are a little bit more precise in the NFL. And if he goes to a team that is unestablished, his career will never take off. I do think he has a high level, but his level is higher if he goes to a team with established offensive line, with a solid roster, who's a couple players away from making the playoffs. Not taking anything away from his athletic ability, his talent, but his biggest flaw is lack of presence in the pocket and his lack of patience. You know what I mean? So those are two negatives I see. So when you get a lack of presence in the pocket and a lack of patience, you get a lot of picks in the NFL. You go somewhere that has a line that gives him a little patience and gives him the presence in the pocket, he'll have a successful career. I'm going to throw it over to Amir. What do you think about Caleb Williams?
So I think everything you said makes a ton of sense, and obviously that's why you host a USC-based podcast here, right? So it makes a ton of sense, everything I just laid out for us. But I'm going to counter you on one thing. So yes, in the pocket, he's probably not going to be that guy who's going to slice you and dice you up as far as like picking you apart, like a Peyton Manning with Tad's Colts there back in the day. He's not going to be that type of quarterback. Definitely not. But one of the big things that I think why everybody loves him to be the bona fide QB1 going off draft boards this year is because he can make those plays, right? Get out of the pocket. He can scramble out. Obviously, Al, you saw that the offensive line at USC was not good at giving him protection too. So he kind of had to make plays on his own too. So we saw this a lot last year when he won the Heisman, right? That he was sort of getting out and roll out of the pocket. He scrambled for yardage when he needed to, but he was also able to make any play that he wanted to with his arm because he has the arm talent to just find whichever open guy is able to sort of get open for him. And he's able to make plays that way. So because of that playmaker ability that he possesses, he doesn't need to be that traditional quarterback. Like, I mean, we're seeing this in the modern NFL. That's like if you got guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, obviously, maybe not to the same extent Lamar Jackson, but it's like you need to have that ability to get out of the pocket. You can't just sit there and dice up a defense like the old schools of your Tom Brady's, your Drew Brees, your Peyton Manning's. That kind of quarterback is unfortunately, that's old news now. You need to get with sort of the modern quarterback way where you sort of have that mobility aspect. Yes, you still need to make plays in the pocket, which Caleb Williams will learn to do. And I think it's very important whoever lands him, that offensive coordinator needs to make sure that they can utilize his skill set to his full intent. Because if they get a guy who just can't use his skill set the way that he can be so dynamic at the NFL, then we're going to see a lot of problems. We're going to see a lot of interceptions. We're going to see a lot of turnovers. We saw last season, Al, 16 fumbles. Like, I mean, he's got to make sure that he's keeping that ball closer to his vest. There's going to be a lot of people just like maybe they won't be able to get to him, but they'll be getting a hand in his, throwing motion and be able to get a lot of strip sacks that way. So, yeah, he's got to tighten that up for sure. But I think for sure, wherever he lands, I think whichever team is taking him, they're going to understand that this is a guy that we could use as a playmaker, not just as a quarterback in this offense. And so for that, I still like him to be the number one quarterback off the board. I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts now, possibly taking Drake May above Caleb Williams. I'm not in that boat yet. I still need to dive into a lot more film to possibly make that decision, but I'm still 100% on board with Caleb Williams, being the first quarterback off the board.
I will say this, and I will say this before I go to Tad. I get that part, but there's still plays that need to develop. and that
That's true.
small
You're right.
pressure, when it's time to step up, he won't step up. He's going to try to extend the play, which causes receivers to come out of their route and not let it hit. That's the only thing. So his patience is a little shaky for me to make that happen. Tad, what do you think?
Well, first off, I have to note that Amur almost called you Tad twice there, and
I'm three. I'm kind of three.
You got three. You got three. I only got two of them. I gotta say, the more
needs to be a running counter.
The more he was doing it, I kind of see the resemblance. I'm not gonna lie there, but
two handsome young men
with the beards and nice flowing hair.
I used to have hair.
Yeah, I'm gonna need photo proof of that. But no, it was funny. So because you guys are on the West Coast and I'm on Central Time, Caleb Williams, I love to watch. But at that point on a Saturday night, I was in an altered state, we'll say. So it was always hard to do like hard draft, analysis while you're just like, oh, this is a great game. But now that I've actually been able to sit down and watch more of Caleb Williams' tapes, and he is definitely the prospect, like Amir said, it's still very early on in the process. I am still digging through a lot of guys here. Surprisingly, I actually warmed up on Caleb Williams as I watched more of him. However, I think here's where the discussion with Caleb Williams has fallen apart. As with anything in the social media age, he has become such a polarizing prospect of you either love Caleb Williams or you hate Caleb Williams. There is no in between. Is he going to be a bust or is he the next Messiah? And it's just like, you know what? For me, honestly, it's in the middle. I see the promise. I see those comparisons. I see why people fall in love with him. But then at the same time, I see some major flaws in his game. So it was funny because, of course, I typed in on YouTube, Caleb Williams tape. And if your guys' search is anything like mine, the very first one the title is, of course, it's a grabby title to get a lot of views, is Caleb Williams next Patrick Mahomes? I'm like, oh, dear God, here we go. So I clicked on that and I was like, all right. And no, is he going to be like the next 50-yard touchdown passer in his first NFL starting season? No. But the more I watched him, the more I understood those comparisons. Because he does have a very similar play style. And Amir, I agree with you. I think that play style is necessary to succeed at the quarterback, in this new quarterback era in the NFL. But here's where the Patrick Mahomes thing kind of falls off. And this is where I agree with Al. We've seen that Patrick Mahomes play style not work as well without good coordinators and good receivers. Patrick Mahomes is having probably, I think this is a pretty objective statement, the worst year of his career as a starter.
Easily,
yeah. Right? And so we see how that play style can actually be kind of a detriment. And that's why I saw Caleb Williams. It's like he would have 5 to 6 amazing plays where I was like, great. And then you have a horrific play where I'm like, yeah, no, bad. And it was funny because I was watching another video breaking down his film, and the guy commentating it was like, look at how he handles his corner blitz because he takes on the corner, sheds him off. And I was like, yeah, that was really cool. He's not going to be able to do that in the NFL. So his ability to kind of scramble around the pocket, I think that's going to be lessened. And also his footwork at times was surprisingly bad. I was really shocked at, and people are going to go, do you see him running around? That's not what I'm talking about. That's his escapability. I'm talking about his footwork when he's in the shotgun. And by the way, that's another concern is that he ran 90% of his plays out of the shotgun. So how's he going to do under center? It's his footwork needs a lot of work. Some of his decision-making needs a lot of work. Al, he had one of the worst throws because I didn't see this live. I saw it while I was watching tape. He had a throw against UCLA. I don't know what the hell he was throwing it to. I believe it was in the first half. And he just he had a lot of time in the pocket, chucked it straight to the middle linebacker. No one in the area. And I was just like, what are you doing? So is he this is he the, end all be all number one pick that he was previously hyped up to be? No, but I am starting to see the promise. Do I like him better than Drake May? Maybe. I still need to, make that decision, but I see what Al's saying is if you put him on a good team, he will be that end all be all. But let's be real. That's not going to happen. So I think it's going to be more of a growing pain experience than people are expecting.
Just for the record, Tad, there's me with hair right there.
Hair. What is that, 2 centimeters?
Nah, that's in the middle of camp, so I didn't even have a hair.
I might break out a ruler.
So that's a fade, man. Come on. Gotta look nice for the ladies on the college campus.
Man,
but
no, that's true.
Yeah.
He didn't want helmet hair. That's why he kept it shorter.
There we go. There's the excuse.
So yeah, in that sense, I understand what you're saying. So I went back. If you guys go back and watch the show, and we got a lot of grief for this. Does he take the $500 out the playbook? And that's a Caleb Williams issue that's also going around too. And a lot of people don't catch it, but people will catch it. Does he take the $500 out of the playbook? And like Ryan said when we filmed the show, is he even invited to the wedding? You know what I mean? Like, so that those issues are floating around too, silently, but that's kind of happening.
On the $500 off the playbook, for those of you who don't know, that's a reference to Jamarcus Russell, where they taped $500 that's draft day. That's draft day. I caught it before you guys did. But Jamarcus Russell is the same deal. That's where draft day got it from. Where they uploaded like a fake CD.
They gave him blank tapes, and they asked if he understood the coverages. And he's like, I loved them all. I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. At draft day, they taped, I don't think it was $500. I think it was just like $1 or something. But they taped money to the end of the playbook, and he didn't send it. Or the quarterback that was going to go first overall did not send it back, and the one they wanted did, or something like that. But bottom line being is like, is he going to read the playbook? And honestly, that was one of the things that surprised me, because all the negatives that I read up before I watched his tape were saying that, is he going to be the one read quarterback? But I do see little flashes there of like, hey, maybe he actually is very good at this, because there was a play, I'm blanking on the opponent because of course, but there was a play where he's, looking at an out route, and the linebacker, he could have beaten the linebacker, but he understood maybe that linebacker gets ahead of the receiver, plays that shallow route, so he breaks off the read, maybe a little too quickly, but whatever. There's one play in particular, though, where it was against Notre Dame, where they're backed up against their own end zone, and he takes it, and you can literally see him hit every read in a very good, like, snap, timely manner. And then on top of that, he avoids a rush because, of course, with that offensive line, and he, kind of avoids it, like, by the shoulder shrug, does not run, resets his feet, nails the pass. And it's like, that's what I mean. It's like, there's some place where I'm like, this dude has no footwork. And then he shows me that. I'm like, this dude's got great footwork. So it's like, which one are you going to get?
Yeah. So we'll find out pretty soon here in a couple of months where he goes. I don't think he's going to work out. The funny thing about him is, and here's another worry I have about him too. I think he has a little bit of Aaron Rodgers syndrome because he hasn't declared yet.
That is true. That is the big story right now. That it's like they have until January 15th.
Monday.
Yeah, he has not declared.
And he has not declared yet. So
they're like, "What's the holdup?" And just like, I don't know.
So he hasn't filed his. And like I told Jamal, I was like, "What if he forgets to file his paperwork? Then what do we do?" He's like, "Nah, he won't forget to. That's one thing he won't do is forget to file his paperwork."
What was the trade? Do you guys remember there was some trade deadline in the NFL?
The Browns.
Was that it? Where they tried to trade for? It was AJ McCarron, right? Yeah. They tried to trade for AJ McCarron. The fax machine broke.
Yep.
Like, how great would that be? I'm just like send in the fax machine doesn't work.
You can PDF it from your phone now, so there's no excuse for that.
Yep.
Definitely. So let's move on. We got a list of Trojans coming out this year. So let's cover day one. Do you see anybody? I'll go to Tab first. Do you see anybody else besides Caleb going day one on this USC roster?
Day one, I think it's just Caleb Williams, unfortunately. I think that, and this is kind of, and look, like I said, I love the NFL draft, but, teams tend to overthink things. And the fact that this was a team with such hype going into the year, and the fact that they fell apart, especially defensively. Now, I won't say so fast. You guys were in it for a while, but the fact that
they fell apart in Tulane last year.
Right. And so that's also fair, especially how Tulane did, this year. It was like, oh, wow, that really was a flash in the pan. But just the fact that like this USC team and like scouts come up with the dumbest stuff. It's just like, can they handle the expectations in the NFL if it's not if they couldn't do the USC? So I think a lot of stupid analysis like that is going to come in. There are a couple guys that are like borderline, like late first rounders who wouldn't really surprise me, especially if they test well at the combine, or if they play well at one of the now 15 draft bowls that are going on. Not that I'm complaining. But as it stands now, I would be shocked if any Trojan went other than Caleb Williams.
What about you, Amir?
Yeah, I feel the same as Tad. I think Caleb Williams is for sure going to go 100% in the top 5. Most likely he'll go number 1 overall. Whether it's going to be Chicago, whether it's going to be another team that's going to be taking him, we'll see about that. But outside of Caleb Williams, there's only one other prospect that could possibly slide into the first, but this is like a big if. It really has to be a little bit of an anomaly of a type of draft where all of a sudden teams are valuing safeties. Because then I could see the safety Caleb Bullock possibly going in the first round, but that would be if he also moves up in the process. Because right now I have him slotted as possibly the number 3 safety in this draft class compared to some of the other guys. Tyler Newman out of Minnesota and Cameron Kitchens, the guy out of Miami, would be the guys ahead of him right now. Obviously, you still have to go into the tape to see whether Bullock is maybe going to be playing better than those guys. But as of right now, that's where he slots in. And I don't project any safety as of right now to go in the first round. So like I said, it'd have to be like some sort of weird anomaly type of draft where it's just like all of a sudden teams are prioritizing safety. They want to replicate what the Ravens have with Kyle Hamilton for some reason. They all want to go get safeties, but I really don't think that's going to be the case. And so unfortunately for me, Caleb Bullock will then slide into day 2 for me. But yeah, outside of him, like, yeah, I don't think there's any other USC prospect this year, unfortunately, that has that first round pedigree outside of Caleb Williams.
I like Max better than Caleb, but that's a different story for a different day.
Well, and I'll say this real quick, is the guy who I understand why he declared, and obviously he had a very unfortunate situation. Could you mention if Andrew Voorhees had stayed for one more year?
That is true. He'd probably be in the conversation with your Joe Alt and your Oluwashanu from Penn State as well, that he possibly could be in that conversation to be one of those top offensive linemen.
He was so good. I think in like 2 or 3 years, he's going to be a top NFL offensive lineman. I'm so a big believer in him.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but we can move on.
Andrew Voorhees? Jason Voorhees, hockey mask?
Andrew Voorhees.
They're both brothers.
Okay. I believe you. Oh, by the way, Ted, I owed you $5. Thibodeau got 6 sacks this season.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Go Ducks. I'm kidding. Before your commenters start attacking me.
No,
I'm a Frogs fan. So all you Sooners commenters, bring it up.
So we'll go on to Friday night. By the way, I hate that the draft is in the middle of the week. I hate that Goodell did that. I grew up on, draft being Saturday, Sunday. Like it was
true. I remember that.
I hate the primetime draft, but
I love it.
Friday night. So we'll go to Amir first. What prospects do you see going Friday? So Friday, second, third round. Who do you see going on Friday, if there's any?
Yeah, well, definitely I'm going to bring up the guy that I brought up during my previous take about nobody going in the first round besides Caleb Williams, but that's the safety Caleb Bullock. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more of a, priority as far as building out your secondary in that second and third round. There's obviously a lot of depth in both the defensive back position, secondary position, I should say, going back to safeties as well, as well as that's where you get a lot of depth for like receivers as well. That's where we're going to see a lot of receivers go as well. So I think that's where teams are going to stock up on those positions. So you look at a guy like Caleb Bullock, I mean, they're saying that he could play the slot corner position, but based on his size and weight, exactly. Al's already shaking his head. It's like, I don't think I can see that. He's a better zone coverage defender anyway. So if you ask him to do press man coverage in the NFL level, I don't think he can handle that. Maybe it's like an emergency backup situation where it's like, you're like the 49ers and you're dealing with secondary injuries every single year. Maybe that's a situation where he'll actually get some playing time, but that's not a recommendation for him to be like a projected starting slot corner for you. He should not be that type of guy. He's better suited to play at the safety. He's got the good range. He's got the good ball instincts. He's got a great wingspan as well to track the ball and make some good catches. But here's the big thing. People weren't throwing his direction, so he wasn't able to get a lot of interceptions. He was getting a few pass breakups here and there, but I think he's got a lot of great skills to be just a safety. He's not going to be that slot corner, which a lot of people are sort of projecting there. Good recognition skills and the run defense as well. Overall, one of the better safeties in this class. I think just depending on how the draft process goes, he could ascend to possibly being the second or possibly first safety off the board. I think as of right now, as mentioned, I think I got him number 3. But outside of Caleb Bullock, depending on the draft season that he has as well, the offseason, I should say specifically, but Brendan Rice, the wide receiver, he could possibly be a round 3 selection. I'm seeing him there in the likes of comparing him to other receivers. He could be there in the conversation with the Roman Wilson out of Michigan, Jalen McMillan out of Washington, and Johnny Wilson, the behemoth out of Florida State, the wide receiver there.
That
He's
man's insane.
It's crazy. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him in the draft process. They're definitely going to invite him to the combine, so I'm very curious to see all his numbers when he goes.
They want to get that height on him.
Exactly. Yeah. So got to get that confirmation of whether it's actually 6'7" or whether it's like closer to like 6'5" or something like that. But yeah, jumping back to Brendan Rice, I mean, son of the legendary receiver. I love the guy, Jerry Rice of the 49ers, obviously, formerly of the 49ers, I should say. But that's a big shatter to feel, obviously, when you're coming from a lineage of such a legendary player like that. He was able to live up to expectations this season, though. Like, Caleb Williams was looking his direction a lot more, making a lot of explosive plays, scored 12 touchdowns this season, which was a team high for the USC Trojans. He was only behind Taj Washington in receptions and receiving yards. So, I mean, this guy was just a primary piece of the passing offense that Caleb Williams relied on. Natural hands catcher. Of course, you got to get that when you have a dad like Jerry Rice. Very aggressive at catching the ball, though. So that was something that Jerry Rice was not of. He was very much accepting the football, not going up and getting it. He didn't have that type of athleticism, but Brendan Rice is showing that he's more aggressive, snatching the ball out of the air, willing to get aggressive with quarters to sort of snatch the ball there. Biggest thing, though, and that's why I said the draft process is going to be very critical for him, whether he's going to go on day 2 or whether he'll unfortunately slide to day 3. He's very raw, so it's going to be very critical that he sort of refines his skill set during these next couple of months. If he gets invited to the combine, that would be a great chance for him to sort of showcase his skills a little bit further. He did get an invitation to the Senior Bowl, so Tad, we will be able to see him during the Senior Bowl during our live stream there. But yeah, I think he has a very high ceiling. It's just how much can he refine himself during this trial process, which will sort of slate him where he will go on day 2, or if he really just, has a bad draft season, he'll slide all the way to day 3. But I like him to go on day 2 for sure. Outside of that, I think those are the two guys that I'm sort of pegging the most out of USC prospects to go on day 2.
One thing I think will help his draft stock a little bit. He blocks very well.
Yes.
He's a very good run blocking receiver, which teams who are run heavy and use their receivers for blocking might be interested in that. He blocks very well. So that's one thing that I think will help his draft stock. Tad, what do you think? Who do you see going Friday, day 2 Friday, second and third round?
I think the most likely surefire candidate is a guy that Amir already brought up, which is Callum Bullock, which is is it
Callan? Al, is it Callan or is it Kalen? The way I saw it, I said it was Kalen, but I have no idea.
Is it? I'm still working on my names.
It's going by Kalen. Everybody calls him Kalen Bullock, so we'll go Kalen.
Wait, was Callan, you idiot? Why?
Did I say Callan? Damn it,
Callan.
Callan, Kalen, whatever. Bullock.
Welcome to our world, everybody. Welcome to our world.
I am so bad with names for our viewers. That's the most entertaining thing about it. That's another entertaining thing about us is my cat Cap. He needs to make an appearance every show. But I'm so bad with names. That's the funniest part of the draft. We should make a game out of that during the draft, like during rounds 2 and 3.
What is his name?
That would be great. But before I go any further with this take, I just got to say, if you disagree with it, we actually did make a production error here. So at Desai23 is actually my Twitter. That is where you direct all your hate mail. Okay. So before I get to my take, that is where you can find me and I will respond in a prompt manner. But I don't really like Bullock.
Wow. Okay,
I watched a couple of his games this year and I was like, yeah, like I see the promise. I definitely see the potential there. But there were several things that worried me. One is and this is something that is fixable over time, obviously, but man, is his physicality bad. He gets swallowed up so often. And the thing that at first, and it was funny. So the first game I watched him, and I'm sure you actually watched this one live, is the first tape of his I watched of the draft season was his game against San Jose State. Oh my Lord. See, you're putting like your head down, but you guys made him look like the fool. Because that man in run defense is terrible. Like he over pursues so badly in run defense where like, I'm not even joking. There was just it was like a read option to the running back and he just gunned it. And granted, to his credit, he hit that gap very fast, but he tried to tackle him so high, he ended up rolling like 10 yards past the quarterback while the running back was going down the field. So his over pursuit and run coverage is a real concern there. I completely agree with what you were saying, Amir, though. That man is not going to be a slot corner because his man coverage, like I said, with that physicality, not going to work. Now, to give credit where it's due, he does have very good, ball hawk skills. He is pretty impressive in zone coverage. I see the promise. Do I see the promise as him as a second rounder? No, but I think he's going to test out the charts. I think he's going to measure very well, particularly in height. I think he's going to be one of the standouts during the combine, which just basically means physically you look good. So I think he will solidify himself as a second rounder. I personally have him graded as a 4th or 5th rounder.
So there's a couple of things I want to comment on that. Size is going to be an issue. When I say size, I mean weight wise. Like, he doesn't look very big, and it's loud in the NFL no matter where you are. You're not going to get another Hamilton. Hamilton is one in a lifetime opportunity safety.
And people forget this too. Hamilton had a rough rookie season.
He did,
but he came on very well now, and Hamilton should be going to Orlando. I don't know why he's not. And if he is, I hope that's proud of him.
Don't get me started on the Pro Bowl, man.
At first, I was like, he's going to the Magic?
No. So, and then they're talking about putting him at a slot cover. He can't cover. That's the reason why he plays center field. Like, he plays center field very well. Like, the year before, he's very opportunistic, got a lot of picks. Playing center field, he's very good at that. The problem is tackling. If you're going to be a safety, you need to be the last line of defense to be a for sure tackler, and he's not a for sure tackler, which means he can't play down the box. If you start playing roll cover, if you start having to roll the coverage with the safeties, he can't play down the box because he doesn't tackle very well. For him to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick is kind of high, because I think you could get a better athlete for that value.
Agreed.
Can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the biggest reason as to why I'm sort of projecting him to be a day 2 pick is because all your concerns are very valid. That he's not a physical presence. He's not going to be a guy that's, like you said, bring him up in the box. He's not going to be a guy who's going to be physical as far as man coverage, as far as his lock corner. But I think the biggest thing that gives him an advantage is because he has such good, football IQ. And that's a hard thing to coach.
That's fair.
So it's like, if you have that going into the draft, you can bulk up in the weight room. Tad, we talk about this all the time on our podcast. A lot of these guys, they just need to bulk up a little bit, build up a little bit of muscle mass, and they'll be good to go. So I think that's possible. Obviously, a little bit of refinement in technique, I think that can be coached up as well. But the biggest thing is, if you're coming into the NFL with already a good football IQ and you sort of know what you sort of need to do, playing your position, that's going to give you a leg up against all the other competition cutting into training camp. So that's why I like it a little bit more. Obviously, like I said, it's going to be accentuated with how his draft process goes, but that's sort of why I'm leaning towards him being a day 2 pick as opposed to sliding all the way to day 3.
You know who he kind of reminds me of is, and I don't know how familiar you guys are, but actually, if memory serves, this is another USC alum. In a way, I see him having a similar career as Julian Blackmon, the safety that was with the Colts.
I don't think he went to USC. Mekhi Blackmon, the rookie from last year, was
not Mekhi. No, Mekhi Blackmon's much better. No, Julian Blackmon was a safety with the Colts. Maybe I'm forgetting.
You keep talking about that. I'll look it up.
Okay, yes, please do. Number 32 with the Colts. By the way, people, before you judge me too hard, it's 10 p.m. my time, and I just taught children all day, so I'm a little brain fried. But I love those kids. You're the best. You're not. But point being is, he was kind of the similar way of like a smaller safety, was not a run support guy at all, but he was your very typical, like, if you need a third safety in Utah. I knew it was Pac-12. Damn it. It is Julian Blackmon though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was the perfect like third safety for the reasons Murray exactly put out, because he was a little bit smaller frame. You couldn't use him in run support, but God, when you knew you were going in coverage, he was the perfect guy to have out there. Because I completely agree. And that's why I said he's good in zone coverage is, Bullock has a very good, understanding of the game. It's just, he has all the, everything physically going against him. So again, I see the promise. I think, again, he will get the hype to go in round 2, but I don't think he belongs there. I'm with Al on this one.
It's just the value. And we're going to talk about this
Right.
a lot this offseason. And you guys always hear me like, you could get something, but you could get it for a better value. If you could get it for a better value, try to get it for a better value. I just think if you could get him for a better value later down the line, then that's where you go get him. I wouldn't say spend it all up front. So that's the only thing. But as far as Jerry's boy, I think is going to be the one that pops out and has the best pro career.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wait, including Caleb?
Including Caleb. I think he'll have the longest career, and I think he will have the best pro career. I'm not saying he's going to be like his dad and be a Hall of Famer, but I think he'll be a Pro Bowler 1 or 2 times. I think he'll have very good seasons, and I think he will be an attribute to teams because he can run block, because he can catch the hitch, because he can catch the slant, and he can run the 9s and the 8s, right? He can run go routes and he can run posts. And he's physical, and he could go get the ball. That makes him a very, very, very valuable number 2 receiver. And now you're getting the number 2 receiver at the $1 million mark or under the $1 million mark, which is a very good value for the first 4 years, right? And if he does go and make that name, he makes it to the second contract, he's going to get paid. And the goal for all NFL players is get that third contract. So I think he will be able to get that third contract. I think he'll probably maybe on 2 teams because you never know how the NFL works, but he has so much in his tank and so much upside. Like Amir said, he's still raw. I think he's going to have the longevity in the NFL, and I think you will see people wearing his jersey no matter what team he plays for. I also will tell you this. There is a thing with the NFL where you get drafted based off the fans you put in the seats. So a lot of hometown kids get drafted to their hometown. Don't be surprised if all of a sudden you see a 3rd round selection by the 49ers and they pick up Brandon Rice. That can happen. That can be a possibility. Brandon Rice on the 49ers now makes him very good. Makes him really good. That makes Brandon Ayuk the number 1 receiver, Brandon Rice the number 2 receiver, and that makes Deebo Samuels, Tyreek Hill the 49ers. He's a multi-asset, and he's playing receiver and running back, and he's the number 1 guy, plus Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Deebo's not the number 1 receiver. He's the number 1 guy, and you have Christian McCaffrey with Ayuk and Brandon Rice and George Kittle. Go ahead, Amir.
For now.
No, I was just going to make a point that like you brought up the Niners. Like, I don't know whether that's actually going to happen. We'll have to see how the draft process plays out. But I just want to accentuate another skill that Brandon Rice has, and that's yards after the catch. Like, he has that athletic ability and that skill set that once he makes the catch, he's still a dangerous guy to sort of get some extra yardage and get some big chunk plays for you. So it's like, like Al said, that if he fits in the San Francisco offense, that's exactly what they make their offensive living off of, is that yards after the catch with Ayuk, with Kittle, with Deebo. So it's like that would be a perfect fit. But just any team that drafts him, he has that ability to not only just be a gifted receiver, but also a gifted playmaker with the ball in his hand. So yeah, I like him to have a pretty good career too. I still have to dive into his tape a little bit, and we'll see how the draft process goes. Like I mentioned earlier, he's going to be at the Senior Bowl, so that's going to be a big leg up for him too. A lot of scouts will see him there. So yeah, I like Brandon Rice for sure, but yeah, we'll have to see how it all plays out.
Pat?
Well, so I was hoping you were gonna kick it to day 3 after that because if
you have a day 3, go ahead.
Well, hold on. Well, I do, but first,
not day 3. We're still on day 2. Do you have any?
But that's why I'm saying is I was hoping you were gonna kick it to the next segment. Let me get to my joke, Al. Do you two know what the most popular dish in America is?
Most popular dish?
Most popular food. Popular food in America.
I would go hamburger or steak.
Hamburger, steak, pizza. You both are horrifically wrong. It is
macaroni
rice.
And cheese.
It is rice. Oh. And you know why rice is so good? Because no matter how many times you have it, or no matter how many times you hear about it, it is so, so good. So let's keep talking Bernard Rice here. Let's keep doing it.
Not Bernard.
What'd you call him?
Whatever.
Brendan.
Hold
Rice.
on. Stop. Before
Brandon,
we go,
Bernard. Dude, I know them by their last names. It is early on. I've only been watching tape for a week.
Can you hold on one second? Seth, let me pay this bill. This weekend starts Wild Card Weekend. If you want to get in on that action, go to betonline.ag. You get in all the up-to-late minutes odds, stats, and you can put in wagers. Set up a parlay for Saturday and Sunday. We're going to see a lot of upsets, in my opinion, but that's a different conversation for Slack. Put in promo code BLEAV, BLEAV. You get a 50% welcome bonus. betonline.ag, where the game starts. Going into round 4, day 3, right? So day 3, Saturday, 4 through 7. Those are quick. They don't even have the celebrities on there anymore. They're just talking the whole time, like, "Oh, they just drafted somebody." They're just up there having conversations.
No, this is where they do like the picks that are like video calls where they go to like the Arby base. And I remember there was that one year that really upset Mike Mayock. There's the orangutan that made a pick. And that, I don't know, for some reason made Mike Mayock super pissed off. Yeah, like, so those are the more weirder picks, I should say, in quote marks there. But not the celebrities. Yeah, not your,
Yeah. It's not even, are the fans even still there?
Oh, yeah.
They're still there.
No, they're sold out for the entire thing.
Oh, I don't understand Saturday. I wouldn't go to a draft on Saturday. There's no point to go
Neither
to a draft.
But
yeah. I don't need Harry from the family sub restaurant that's been in Buffalo for the last 50 years. I don't care about him, to be honest with you. Like, I'm never going to eat at your sandwich shop properly. But
that's fair.
So we got 4 through 7. Under $1 million guys, right? These guys are going to make under $1 million. Mostly developmental guys. Mostly guys are going to become journeymen. In reality, mostly guys, this is where their career is going to end. It's going to come to a stop here. They get the opportunity to go to camp, probably end up in the UFL. Who do we see? And we'll kick it a tad first. Day 3. Since you wanted day 3 so bad.
Well, let's go into the guy I was talking about, Barnhart Rice. So with him,
this is still a Trojan podcast. You will get ridiculed for that.
It's all right. I get ridiculed no matter what. I'm used to it at this point. Guys, I am sorry. Like, truly, go to our show, the Desai guys. This is not a bit. You
can watch any episode and he'll screw up a name. Like, it's not even a joke.
I got it. Is it Pollard?
You're finally getting it. After all these years, you're finally getting it.
For 2 years, I kept saying, what did I keep saying?
Pollard.
I kept saying Pollard.
Cody Pollard.
But anyway, going back to Rice is, not too much to add on to what you guys have already said, but it was funny because, I had heard his name, obviously just his last name, going into this draft process. So I decided, put on his tape, start watching him. And the first thing that stood out to me was he ran 3 back-to-back of the crispest routes I have ever seen in my life. And I was like, oh, dear God. And it's funny. So I don't read up on the background of any player I scout before I watch their tape. I want to watch their tape, and then I'll learn more about them. So, like, I was watching his route running, and I was watching just, like, a route runner for a guy his size. I was like, this is truly incredible. Like, this guy has some very natural gifts. Then I looked him up. I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. I'm like, okay, yep, nope, that makes sense. I'm like, all right, now it's all coming together. But it was just to his his finacity, makes his first appearance of the season. His finacity as a smaller receiver. I'm not gonna say small receiver. He's not like a Darren Sproles type, but he's definitely on the smaller side. Is very impressive. He plays much more aggressively than frankly he has the right to do so. I really like him a lot. So why do I have him as a day 3 guy? Like I said, NFL scouts tend to overthink these things. That guy is not 205 pounds. That is a college weight measurement right there. I think he's going, if he gets to the combine, which I fully expect him to, he will come in at under 205. I think that that size is going to scare people or scare teams away from drafting him in rounds 2 or 3. And let's not forget, like Amir kind of alluded to, this is a absolutely ridiculously loaded receiver class. Some good receivers are going to drop. And I think because of his size, he is going to. But I am right there with what Al said. I think he has all the potential with that route running, with aggressiveness, with the good hands to have a good, long NFL career. And I was trying to think of a comp for him. And don't worry, he's not a Hall of Famer, even though he should be. Joking. But I'll be interested to hear what you guys think. So I was thinking, like, okay, small guy, aggressive, good catcher. But like he's a small guy that doesn't play like a small guy. And they kind of hit me. It's not perfect comparison, but he kind of reminds me of a T.Y. Hilton.
T.Y. Hilton wasn't as physical of a receiver.
He wasn't as physical, but
I would have took a Hines Ward.
See, that feels too high. Hines Ward was like more physical than he was. We need to find our in-between between Hines Ward and T.Y. Hilton.
What about Steve Smith?
Steve Smith? Yeah, Steve Smith.
I like that one better than Hines Ward. Yeah, play style is better. Yeah, that's good.
Because especially if you look at Steve Smith during his days in Baltimore, he got a lot more of a physical receiver. Because in Carolina, that's where he relied on his speed, right? But then he developed into being more of a physical receiver. So I'd say Steve Smith, Baltimore, Steve Smith, not Steve Smith.
And where was Hines Ward drafted? Because I know the other two, but I'm not sure about Hines Ward off the top of my head.
Which
We can
round?
find out.
Both, kind of later round picks. So that's what I mean about, Barnhart kind of. I almost said Bucky, but it doesn't have the R, so the joke doesn't work.
Sure.
But that's why I think he might be
I apologize, guys. I really apologize for this. Keep going, Tad.
Were you
He's
apologizing?
apologizing to listeners.
I was just about to say, were you apologizing to the listeners?
He didn't care less about us.
Welcome to our ruckus. We are chaos. But I like all two of those three guys went in what would now be day 3. So that's why I think that size, despite the level of play, will make him end up slipping into day 3.
All right. You got anybody else for day 3? So you're saying he's going 4th round?
I think 4th or 5th, probably. Well,
if he goes 4th or 5th, he's going to get a hell of a raise on his second contract.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree because like, again, not play style. I'm not comparing their play style because they are wildly different in terms of play style and just general measurements. Is a guy who he reminds me a lot of, and yes, I am biased because I'm also a Michigan fan. Go Blue, national champs. Is Donovan Peoples-Jones. I was convinced.
Wait, stop.
All right, we've had this argument before.
No. How are you going to say you're a Michigan fan and you said Washington was going to win the national championship?
Because I thought
Tad is like a fan of like 10 different schools in college. It's like not even
that shows that shows good analysis because that shows that I do not let my bias get in the way. Which, by the way, at least 2 Horned Frogs are going in the first round.
Anyway, who else do you have going in day 3? Because
Well, real quick before you were like, well, how do you have, Rice going in the 4th to the 7th round he reminds me a lot. And again, not in terms of play style, but just in terms of draft stock of Donovan Peoples-Jones. I love that guy coming out of college. And I thought that he was a lock for 2nd or 3rd rounder. Then he slipped to the 4th. It's like, okay, what's happening? Then he slipped to the 5th. I'm like, okay, seriously, what's happening? And I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he was taken at the end of the 6th round. It was either end of the 6th or beginning.
He was a 6th round pick.
He was a 6th round pick. So it was, and plus, like I said, it was the very end of the 6th too. Like he was almost a 7th rounder. I was like, what happened there? And to this day, I'm not sure.
You should have went as a safety. To me, to this day, I think Peoples-Jones was a better safety than he was a receiver.
Okay, well that's okay. Yeah, interesting. But that's my whole point. Is like every year there's a receiver or a running back that tends to drop a lot. And I think that Rice is going to be that guy where we look back in a couple of years and it's just like, wow. Okay, I don't know how we let that happen. But in terms of other guys, I still need to watch. I don't want to give analysis if I haven't watched too much of their tape, and I will get there within the next month or so, especially before the Senior Bowl. Senior Bowl is where we really step up, so definitely within the next 2 weeks. But a guy that's interested me a lot from the little bit I've seen of him is Marshawn Lloyd. I think that I don't see him stepping up as number 1 running back, but I think that could be a real steal as a good, not change of pace back, but good like number 2 guy, kind of the Montgomery to the Jahmyr Gibbs type thing that the Lions are doing right now. But I'll be interested to see if you guys agree. Is he a day 3 guy? Will he be the surprise undrafted? Because remember, every year there are at least five guys. Everyone's like, this guy's going to be drafted, goes undrafted.
Amir?
No, 100% to piggyback off of Tad's pick there, Marshawn Lloyd. Like 100%, he has the skill set to be a day 2 running back, but unfortunately, running backs are not as prioritized in NFL drafts anymore as they once were. So he's 100% unfortunately going to slide into day 3. He will get drafted. He's not going to be an undrafted running back because he has the skill set to be drafted. Not strong. He's a smaller back, so I think I 100% agree with you, Tad, that he's not going to be a primary running back for any backfield in the NFL. He's going to be a complementary piece. I can see him being like, a James Robinson before he became the number 1 in Jacksonville. Like he could be that type of guy. David Montgomery is a good pick there. Obviously, Roshan Johnson with the Chicago Bears now. Like he's going to be that supplemental guy. Maybe he could sort of do a fill in if somebody gets injured and he could be a primary guy, but he's nowhere like he's not going to be drafted to be that type of guy. He's going to be drafted to be part of a committee. So, I mean, he's a good option out of the backfield. I know USC didn't use him as much as a pass catcher. They used him a lot more this last season compared to his previous seasons. So he has to definitely improve his skill set there, show that he can be a more a more able receiver when he goes to possibly if he gets invited to the combine. I think he should be able to get invited to the combine. A lot of running backs go to the combine there.
Most of these USC guys should get invites.
Yeah, I think because of the big name school, he probably won't get an invite.
Exactly.
But even if he gets just his pro day, he needs to showcase his skill set as a passer because that's obviously going to help him at the next level. The biggest thing that I saw a lot of though with him is that I didn't see he has the ability to do it because he did do it, but I don't know if USC just used him as much as this type of runner. He wasn't a between the tackles runner. He has the ability to do that, but I saw more as like going on the outside. They used him on these, swing routes as far as going off the off tackles or going off there. But they weren't using him as a between the tackles guy. But that's also speaking to his size. He's only coming in at 5'9". He is built lower half, so I mean he is hard to tackle. He's a one cut runner. He needs to develop his patience runner. He's not a Frank Gore. He's not going to sit there and wait for the block to set up. He's not a Le'Veon Bell. He's not going to just sort of wait and then all of a sudden hit the hole. He's not that type of guy. He can develop those skills, but he's definitely not going to be that type of guy. He's definitely like finding the hole. He's going to get aggressive, but I'm wondering whether they're just going to keep him as an outside runner, as an outside zone runner, that type of guy at the next level. But I very much like him to be drafted. So he's not going to be one of those guys that's going to go undrafted. So Marshawn Lloyd, I like as a day 3 guy. The other guy that I want to bring up is the other receiver. We're talking about Brendan Bryce, but Marshawn Lloyd, we already talked about him. Taj Washington is the guy that I want to bring up here, the wide receiver. He, like I said, Brendan Bryce only led the team in receiving touchdowns, but Taj Washington was the guy that led the team in receptions and receiving yards. But the big thing that's the problem here, this is why he's going to fall a lot lower compared to Brendan Bryce. He was primarily used as a slot receiver, and you're not going to use a high draft pick on a slot receiver. So that's the biggest thing. He's a smaller guy. He's a willing blocker. I think that was one of the biggest things that USC probably have emphasized there with Brendan Rice being a good blocker. Taj Washington was also a good blocker. He's got very good hands. He accepts the ball as it's coming in. But just, I think the biggest thing is just he doesn't have the size to consistently play on the outside. Maybe he could develop the skill set, develop his route tree, develop, more of that outside awareness. But I 100% think that whoever drafts him, they're going to draft him on day 3, but they're going to use him as a slot receiver. He's not going to be used as an outside type of guy. They may even draft him as like a returner as well. So it's like a slot receiver, like maybe a number 4 guy that they use at the slot position, but then also as a returner as well. I know the special teams aspect of the NFL has sort of gone away with all the changes that they made. It's just like not the same as it once was, but it's still helpful to have a good guy who could sort of make a few key blocks, get you at least 10, 15 yards, potentially get you a house call. We'll see about that, but definitely a guy that can sort of get you a few yards instead of just taking a fair catch and taking the ball where the punt is. So I can see Taj Washington fitting into that role, but that's why I see him as a day 3 receiver. Even though he was a primary option for Caleb Williams, you may think that he might go higher. Unfortunately, just his skill set's not going to translate to that. I think he goes on day 3. Outside of those 2 guys, I mean, you may have a Jonah Monheim, the offensive lineman.
He's coming back. He's going back to SC.
Oh, is he going back to school? Okay. Well, I didn't have that confirmation, so that's good that we got that confirmation here. But even if he did come out, let's just say hypothetically he decides to change his mind before the 15th, he's got the mindset to be a good offensive lineman, but he just doesn't have the physical traits. He still needs to develop a lot as a blocker, more effectively as a run blocker comparatively as a pass blocker. He really needs to upgrade those skills for sure. So we'll see what happens as he goes back to school, whether he can develop all those skills. The other guy that I want to bring up, Eric Gentry, the linebacker. I think he's got a lot of great skill sets to be a good rangy linebacker, sideline to sideline type of guy, but he's just extremely raw. That's the biggest thing with him. He needs to develop a lot of skills. He's got the mentality to do it. He's got the football IQ, but you can see the aggressiveness at time. He's got the speed, so he could drop into coverage if he needs to, but just the 100% thing is just he needs to be coached up a lot. So 100% he'll go on day 3, or he may be a high priority undrafted free agent. But those are the only other guys that I could see from USC potentially being drafted or going undrafted on day 3.
So I'll start from the bottom up. The problem with Gentry is he doesn't have a spot. He's too small to play in. And
that's the big thing too. Yeah,
he's a little bit too clunky to play linebacker, I guess you could say.
Tweener. It's kind of like Isaiah Simmons. Like where do we play him? Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? And he's been like ping ponging his entire NFL career because it's just like you can't be good. It's like when a team has 2 quarterbacks, that means you have no quarterbacks.
Yeah, he that's the problem. He doesn't really have a spot. He's not a true linebacker because he can't cover. And linebackers in the NFL have to at least run with slot receivers now and start covering. And then he's a little bit too small to play defensive end. Yeah. So, undrafted, he might go just to see if he could do it. And then if he sticks, he'd be all right if they could find a spot for him. But I think it's in between. Mahine, he's coming back, so we won't even go down that world.
Fair.
Taj Washington is very interesting to me. Taj Washington, I think, is very good, but the problem with Taj Washington is he's about 5'9". You know what I mean? Like he's a small guy, and so the question is, and he's not a blazer. You know what I mean? He's not going to run by you and blow by you. So
sorry, just to quickly interrupt, but it's like you look at Tank Dell. Me and Tad were very down on Tank Dell entering the draft. We're like, this is just going to be another Tavon Austin out of West Virginia a handful of years ago by the St. Louis Rams at that time. Mm-hmm. They're still in St. Louis.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
But I expected him to sort of be that same guy where it's like they drafted him in the third round, Tank Dell, that is, I'm saying here. And I just expected him to be sort of like that, a speed guy that they're just not going to use the right way. But that was the big thing. He has elite level speed. He was able to make it work in Houston. But yeah, exactly like you're saying, Al, with Taj Washington, he doesn't have that game-breaking speed like a Tyreek Hill or as a Tank Dell that I'm saying here. So it's just like, unfortunately, that's going to cause him to slip.
Well, I was going to say, if he gets in the right system where he becomes like a Wes Welker slot receiver, or
that's
like
true.
Those type of people, he's going to catch the ball and he's going to make plays for you. You just got it's all just getting in the right system. So we got to be, if he falls into the right system and somebody drafts him, you're getting him for a great value if he goes day 3, right? You're getting him for a great value. You're not burning your pockets on him. You're not putting all your stock in him. So if he gets in and he fits, you know what I mean? Or even if he doesn't work out, you practice squad him and then develop him and he ends up working out. Like, I think that would be a good get for him. Like, I don't see that far off. He just has to fall to the right guy in the right system. He'll be very good in a West Coast system because he could run those intermediate routes. He could be that for sure first down. Marshawn Lloyd is a little deceptive, though. Marshawn Lloyd is bigger in person than he looks on TV. He's a really big guy, but he's fast. Right, that's why he turns the corner, he burns. And like you say, he's a one cut and go. The issue with Marshawn Lloyd is he can't pass block.
Yes, that you can attribute to his size. Fair. Like, I mean, he definitely was more of a chipper than like a guy who could take on the oncoming defender. So maybe he could develop that with a little bit more, football IQ or whatever it is, build up a little bit. But yeah, that's 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah, he can't pass block, but if you get him in a good zone scheme and get that outside zone, actually, the spot for him to go is the Rams.
Interesting.
He's a good second choice. You know what I mean? And that zone concept, West Coast offense, I think that will work out really well. So any West Coast offense, maybe he might work out in the Texas Toast offense. You know what I mean? So if he goes to Dallas, that might work out because Tony Pollard's on his way out because they aren't giving him as many carries as once they gave him the big.
I don't know what the hell they're doing.
We've seen it before with Zeke. Everybody blames Zeke like he's not as good as he used to be. And I'm like, watch Tony Pollard once he gets the big contract and he becomes the number one. His production's dropping off. Are you saying Tony Pollard's not good anymore?
He hasn't even gotten the contract yet. He's the number one, but still we haven't seen anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not the guy. It's the different story for a different day. Save it for Slack.
So I will say this because I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. And again, I haven't watched too much of his tape, but the comparison that was kind of jumping off at me when it came to Lloyd was, and it's not a perfect comparison because he's about 30 pounds lighter than this guy. He kind of reminds me of Michael Turner, a guy who's like surprisingly fast, who can hit on the outside. And, like for a guy of Michael Turner's size, he wasn't as physical of a back as you thought he would be. Again, it's a very early comp there, but I think their running styles at the very least are something to think about.
His running style is more like Marshall Faulk.
I don't think he's shifty.
He is a little bit more. He is more shifty than you think. He is. Like I watched this whole season because I'm required to. Like he's more
bona fides over here. All right,
like he's more shifty than you think. Like, and he'll find the cut. He'll get loose, but he won't break away.
He doesn't have breakaway speed. 100%.
He won't
He's
break
got
away.
good speed, but yeah, he does have breakaway speed.
Yeah, so that I could see that. Like number 2 back, I can see. I don't ever see him being a number 1 back. That's work. Who do we start off day 3 with? Marshawn Lloyd was your number. That's who we start off with. So we worked our way through. So let's talk about some people that, and if you haven't watched them yet, we don't have to talk about them. Austin Jones. Austin Jones is going to the draft. What do you guys think about Austin Jones?
I didn't have him on my list, so yeah, that's a guy that I'm gonna have to note down as far as to do some research on. Just
that means you guys have to come back. We just got him back for another show, guys.
Fair.
All right,
We
was
just
that
got
your
him back
not
for
so
another
subtle
show.
way of being like, I'll see you in about a month?
I think so.
Here, I'll give you guys a list right now. Austin Jones.
Okay.
Where's my pen?
Austin Jones, Max Williams, who I think is going to get drafted day 3.
Max Williams, okay.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks into day 2. Max Williams.
Okay, interesting.
Max Williams.
How many X's? Just 1, 2? Please don't tell me it's 3. If it's 3, we've got a problem.
He's got the one that was drafted by Baltimore.
Well, you won't find as Maximus. You'll find him as Maximus. His real name is Maximus.
Oh, better.
No, I'm joking.
All right, he is
I'm joking. I'm just messing with you. It's Maximus.
Damn it.
So Max Williams. I want to get you guys. I want to know you guys' opinion on Dedich. So Justin Dedich.
You are gonna make me pronounce that name?
His name is Justin Dedich.
How dare you?
I
just screwed up Bart Rice's name. Come on.
True.
Justin Dedich. And I'm trying to figure out who else there is. There's one more. I got my roster right here from the Holiday Bowl. Give me 1 second.
Nice.
Barry
well,
Rice.
as you're sort of looking through your names,
Solomon Bird. Okay,
there's one other name that I do want to bring up. I haven't done a lot of research on him just yet, but he is going to be at one of these draft bowls. So we already talked about Taj Washington, Marshawn Lloyd, Brendan Rice. They're all going to be appearing at bowls. So Brendan Rice and Marshawn Lloyd are going to be at the Senior Bowl. Taj Washington's going to be at the Shrine Bowl. And this is the other guy that I want to bring up because he got an invite to the Shrine Bowl as well. And that is Christian Roland Wallace. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a little bit of look. I'm going to be looking at him as well. Obviously, we'll do our East-West Shrine game preview and review, obviously, once the game is done. But I'll definitely be looking at tape of his because, yeah, he got an invite. So, I mean, there must be something that the scouts are seeing with this guy.
Christian Roland Wallace is 6'2", 215. But Christian Roland Wallace
size for a defensive back. Sorry, if those people don't know. I'm surprised. Most listeners probably do know. We're the anomaly here, me and Tad, where it's like, he plays defensive back in case you don't know.
So Christian Roland Wallace is 6'2", 215. The problem with Christian Roland Wallace is he did not get a lot of reps.
Okay.
So he came from Arizona. He didn't get a lot of film.
I bet he regrets that switch.
Yeah. But the thing about it is he has potential. A lot of people that played in this defense kind of got swindled. And so, you're not going to see a lot. But Christian Roland Wallace, I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about. They have him at 6 foot 200, so he still looks big though. Christian Roland Wallace is a big corner. I think he's very good. I like him. I think he's very good. The thing about Christian Roland Wallace is if he doesn't work out a corner in the NFL, you could give him a chance to go safety.
Oh, okay.
He has opportunity to play safety because he'll tackle. Mason Cobb also. Mason Cobb is coming out also, right? So Mason, I think he's coming out. He hasn't declared yet, but if Mason Cobb comes out, that's one to look at too. I'm interested to see what
January 15th comes around, we'll get a better idea as far as who are the guys coming and who's going back and all that stuff. So yeah, that should clear up a lot of these things as far as is he coming? Is he not? I don't know.
Yeah. So
I'm still looking for my pen.
Your pen.
Well, I'm trying to write all these names down, man. You're throwing a bunch at us.
I don't worry. The responsible one's taking care of it.
Yeah, we got it.
Are you okay? All right.
Well, Mason Cobb is one to look at. I told you about Solomon Bird already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Solomon Bird's one to look at. I feel like I'm high school coach again, trying to tell you guys all my guys who look at it recruit.
Now, I will say this while you're looking is as a very early end of the show promo is, shout out to Al because last year during the first round of the draft, me and Amir were going to do just, what was it? Picks 1, 2, 3, the top 5, right? We were going to do the top 5, just you and me.
Yeah.
Or was it was the top 4 or 5. And Al joined us during, was it the first pick?
He was there since the first. He was there from the beginning
of the show.
But that was the best part. And he was only supposed to be there till about the 8th or 9th pick. And by God, that man stuck by us. He was so crazy. He tried to FaceTime us from the car on the highway.
That is true.
We had to kick him. We had 100% to kick him
accurate.
Because on this show and on our show, especially on our show, we do not drive and podcast. So we had to kick him off, but that is how dedicated Al is.
It's Bluetooth.
It doesn't matter. You were trying to do video.
It's true.
Don't drive a podcast, but regardless, Al's gonna be back. So, and look, yes, I know I screwed up some names tonight, but I mean that is my favorite part of the draft. Is come April. Oh my god, that second and third round, I was exhausted because it was pick after pick where Murray was like, "What do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy?" And I'm flipping through all my notes. So yes, I was a little rusty tonight, but trust me, draft season with these two above me, it's gonna be one awesome ride.
So, you guys got to come back now because we gave you some more names. And
that's fair.
Solomon Falcon.
also, we need you guys to come back in the season. I want to get you guys started. So you need to watch more SC games next season. We need more. Okay. We need more Desai guys. If you guys want to watch these guys, like I said, they're great in fantasy. This is how their show is. Great interaction. Go to the LAFB Network YouTube channel. Go watch all their shows. We just did a show where I got called a hater by Tab because I told the truth that said Michael Penix would not be able to handle the pressure and the offensive line. And I told him that. And I don't know why he argued with me because the best blitz package in college football. And I don't know what I'm talking about.
I thought you were going to just trash Michael Penix. And you're like, no, he's good. I was like, oh my good.
No, he's good. Well,
as host, I was like, well, there goes my plan.
I wasn't going to be wrong. I wasn't going to hate on the kid. The kid's good, but now he might be a day two draft.
That's a good draft discussion to have. How much did that game affect his draft stock? We had that a little bit in the Slack. But
we did.
Invite me over when you guys talk about Penix. We could talk about that. When you guys do quarterbacks, we could talk about quarterbacks. Definitely. I appreciate you guys for coming. Let them know again. I just shouted them out. Let them know where they can contact you. Let's start with Amiri. Where can they find you?
You can see the Twitter handle right there at UpTheSide23. So hit us up with all of your fantasy related topics. If you got draft stuff that you want to discuss as well, make sure you're hitting us up as well. Because fantasy season, even though the regular season is over, that doesn't mean the fantasy season is over. A lot of you play in dynasty leagues. A lot of you play in a lot of special leagues. We can give you advice. If you're playing in a keeper league and you need advice on who you're keeping heading into next season, hit us up. We're here to help you out with trades. Tad is a trade specialist, so make sure you're hitting us up with all your fantasy related questions. But 100%, we are making that transition into the NFL draft process now. So we're going to be diving into all those names that Al listed off that we haven't done homework on yet. We will definitely get you homework on all those guys. All the guys that are going to be coming at the East-West Shrine game, all the guys at the Senior Bowl, the draft combine, and of course the NFL draft. We got you covered with all of that, with all great content on our podcast. So subscribe or listen to your podcast, the Side Guys Football Forum. That's where you can find all that great content wherever you listen to your podcast.
Tad, do you have anything else to say?
Absolutely. You can find me at TadDesai94. My students do follow me, so please keep it civil. I know I screwed up some USC facts. Please keep it somewhat civil. But in all seriousness, look,
come at him.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Look, the Desai guys, we are a three-headed monster. We do draft coverage. We do fantasy football coverage. And we do, granted, it's a smaller part of our show, but we take this as serious, a betting section of our show as well. True. So with our partners at Underdog Fantasy, amazing partners, I will tell you guys what, I cannot wait because a lot of these draft bets are going to be fascinating. Over under 3.5 quarterbacks in the first round. That's going to be a great debate to have. So, I'm probably on, and that's going to be another interesting thing. What's the number going to be set for running back? Because I honestly think it might be over or under half a running back. Like, does a running back go in the first round? So if you want to play some draft bets moving forward, or even if you want to play some NBA bets, hit us up at our socials for that, because Underdog is not just football. They are all sports across the board. So draft, fantasy, betting, the Desai guys got your back. And you know what? I said we were a three-headed monster. With that guy above me, good old Al, we're like, you know what? His head's big enough. It's a 5-headed monster.
It's like the Hydra.
Cut off one. 5 more will grow in.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Hey, I appreciate you guys for coming. Like I said, they helped me out in my other fantasy league. They was like, just send me who's available. And they start telling me who to pick and start running stuff. I had something to slow down. So go see them. Sooner fans, don't kill Ted. He's a TCU guy. He went to TCU.
It was a hard enough season.
We love our Sooner fans. We love.
Yes, we do. Fans. Yes, we do. So, except for when they're playing TCU.
Definitely. One more thing. Hey, wild card weekend. You guys, if you're going to wild card weekend, go to your local vendor and don't forget to get yourself a Fight on Pale Ale. It's never too late to drink those. Get you a Fight on Pale Ale by Stone Brewery. Guys, I appreciate you guys for coming. It's been a long time coming. Thank you for finally coming to my house. I appreciate it. I hope the welcome was warm. Hopefully we get to do this again. We're probably going to do it a bunch of times for draft. Like you said, you guys are excited. You guys get more excited for draft than you do for fantasy, but
it's ridiculous.
it is what it is. I love it. I can't wait for the draft. Don't leave me out of the draft live coverage. We'll be on the draft live.
We got you.
Don't leave me out of it. So I don't know if I can't do the marathon like you guys do. I'm good, always good for day one. But the marathon, I can't do the marathon like you guys
That's
do.
fair.
So I appreciate it. Go check these guys out. Don't forget to check us out as we keep moving on, keep moving forward. Well, our goal is to get more and more guests for you guys to get through this all season. I appreciate you guys for coming. Appreciate you guys for listening. You guys know how it is. Live free, fight on.